This entire situation is so outlandish that I don't know what to do. I'm not very tech savvy, but I've been in this community for a while, and maybe you guys can give me some advice or point me to somewhere more appropriate. Anyway, I'm in my early 20s. I just graduated and moved into a new apartment about a month ago. The landlord is a little eccentric, but it's nice enough, and the room was amazing with how cheap it was. As soon as I moved here, my landlord, Mr. Jens, handed me a folded up piece of paper and told me to never break those rules. I unfolded the paper only to find there were 3 rules on it. Rule number 1: do not open your front door between 3 and 4 a.m. Rule number 2: do not bring candles onto the premises. Rule number 3: do not use the kitchen tap after sundown. These were peculiar rules, but fine enough since I didn't do those things anyways. I just filled up my water bottle before the sunset and I was good. Anyway, I've read a lot of the stories on here about experiencing this stuff, and I think that's what my landlord was doing. He was trying to protect tenants from some sort of supernatural entity. I've encountered all the common things one does with these entities. One day I woke up at almost 3:30 in the morning and I heard knocking at my door. I got up to investigate it and the sound suddenly stopped. I looked through the little peephole in the door to see if someone was looking for me, and the knocking started up again, but louder. It felt like someone was throwing themselves against the door. I was freaked out, but I remembered the rules and just went back to bed. Another time I went to put my dirty dishes in the sink at around midnight and I found some red liquid dripping from the tap. It looked like blood, but I didn't get close enough to see if it smelled coppery. Again, I remembered the rule and decided to just stay away from the sink until morning. The sink was clean when I woke up. I turned the water on and it was clear as ever. The weird thing is that after a few weeks of living here, more things started happening. Suddenly, doors I remembered shutting were open. Food in my fridge was gone and there were only crumbs in its place, and even my lights started shutting off on their own. These didn't have anything to do with Jens's rules, but I figured I'd still be fine since I followed them. It wasn't until my bedroom door slammed itself shut for the 3rd time that I realized this entity wasn't so harmless. I was just watching YouTube in my room when it slammed shut. It had been doing it all day, so I was getting increasingly annoyed. I stood up and stomped to the door, ready to throw it open. As soon as I grabbed the handle, I yelped back in pain. The handle was hot as a stove. I had never been hurt by anything in the apartment before, so I'll admit that this did startle me. I wrapped my shirt around the handle, shoved it open, and ran out of my apartment with my tail between my legs. "Well, told you not to break the rules," Jen said, contemplating my retelling of the above events. "I didn't," I told him a bit louder than I intended. "I've followed these rules for 20 years. None of this has happened to anyone who hasn't broken them." "I followed the rules exactly," I said, exasperated with him. He would never believe me, no matter how convincing I tried to be. He just remained silent while waiting for me to stop bothering him. "Then what does someone do if they broke them?" The old man looked at me, stroking his beard in thought before he finally responded. "Keep following the rules." I asked for more, but he didn't budge. He motioned for me to leave and started closing the door in my face. He seemed so nonplussed about the whole situation that I just decided to do what he said. I kept following the rules for a while, but it kept getting worse. There wasn't a day I didn't have a cut or a bruise on me from my apartment. One day the knife rack would fall over right onto my hand. The next, my perfectly fine chair would break while I was sitting on it. It's been a few weeks since these attacks started getting worse. I know I should have moved out, but I think I waited too long. 3 days ago, I felt something watching me as I tried to sleep. 2 days ago, I noticed something standing in the corner of my room. The lights were off, but I saw its eyes shining in the moonlight. It was a darkness looming over me, looking at me as it thought I was sound asleep. The worst part is yesterday, because I swear I saw it standing closer to my bed. The thing was in the middle between me and the wall, like it was taking its time to creep up on me. It's getting late, but this thing will get me if I don't do something, I just know it. I feel like helpless prey caught in its trap. What do you do when the rules stop working? just looked into my bedroom and I swear I saw something glinting in the corner. Has anyone dealt with this before or have any way to get rid of it? You guys seem like experts on this stuff and I could use your help. I really don't want to go to bed tonight.